Now, I've been reviewing my share of 16-inch laptops here in 2021. As we close out 2021, I took a look at one that just came in, really impressive. It's from MSI, and it's the MSI Creator Z16. Now, this is a laptop that is geared towards content creators. It has a 2.5K display. It's a touchscreen display, but it has 120 hertz refresh rate, so you can get that really smooth scrolling, the very fluid experience. It also has a 16:10 aspect ratio, which is great for getting work done. It also is great for consuming media. It's a nice blend between the two. You got the Core i7 11800H processor. Pair that with the RTX 3060 GPU. This is going to be a pretty interesting choice, especially if you are that content creator. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is my review of the MSI Creator Z16 here for 2021. Coming up. And as we take a look at the specs, I want to let everybody know, in the interest of transparency and full disclosure, I'm not being paid by MSI, I'm not being sponsored by MSI. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. MSI is not getting copy approval. They're seeing this video for the first time, just like you. Now, this unit is on loan from MSI, and once this review is done, I'll be sending it back. You could pick up the Creator Z16 over at B&H, over at Adorama. You could also get it at the Microsoft Store, but I also saw it on sale at Amazon for $24.49. Now, I'll leave a bunch of links of the different places where you can get it in the description below. If you have any more questions or anything like that, let me know. I'll reach out to MSI. But right now, this is on sale, and I think it's something you want to check out, especially if you are that content creator. And with the specs and pricing out of the way, let's find out what you get inside the box. Let's open it up. Now, they give you a 180 watt power adapter that has a barrel pin connector, and it also comes with the extension cord as well. Lifting the lid, you're greeted by the unit itself. We're going to get to that in just a moment, but before we do that, inside is also some documentation, which includes some warranty information and a user guide. And holding the unit for the first time, my first impression is it's a very premium high-end device, but it is definitely not the lightest 16-inch laptop out there that I've reviewed this year. Now, 2.3 kilograms or 5.07 pounds definitely has a little bit of weight and heft to it, that's for sure. Now, it has a very sturdy CNC unibody chassis, and I love the lunar gray finish, giving it a very sleek and modern look. With a military standard A10G rating, this is definitely very durable and meant to take a licking. Okay, let's check out the port selection. Let's start off on the left side where you get your DC in. That's where you'll charge this laptop. Next to that is a heat vent, and then you get a Type A USB 3.2 Gen 2 port, and next to that is a USB-C Thunderbolt 4 port, and finally a 3.5 millimeter microphone headphone combo jack to round out the ports on the left side. Moving over to the right side, you get a micro SD card reader that supports UHS 3 support, and that's really good, that's fast. And then next to that is a second USB-C Thunderbolt 4 port, and next to that is your USB 3.2 Gen 2 port to round out the ports on the right side. Now, one thing to note, these two Thunderbolt 4 ports that this has, the USB-C ports, do not support charge. Just not enough power to come in via USB-C. You'll need to use that included power adapter. The other thing to note, there's no HDMI port on this. Would have been nice, especially for a 16-inch laptop. And it would have been nice to have a full-size SD card reader as opposed to a micro SD card reader. But having a card reader is good nonetheless, that's for sure. Now, to get inside this laptop, what you'll need to do is undo these 6 Phillips head screws, 2 of which are located beneath the back rubber feet. Once you do that, you can pry off the bottom panel with a pry tool, and you'll be able to remove it from the chassis. Now, unfortunately, the job doesn't end there. You're going to need to remove the motherboard to access the upgradable parts. First, you have to disconnect the 90 watt-hour battery pack, Take it away from the chassis, and then you'll need to peel the plastic protective foil. After that, undo all the screws holding the motherboard, including the one for the Wi-Fi card and 2 for the fans. And keep in mind that one of the fan screws is hiding beneath the display cable. So yeah, as you can see, not the easiest to do, but definitely accessible to the user if you're willing to put in the time and the patience to get inside this laptop. And once you do all that, you have access to the 2 SODIMM slots to upgrade the RAM, and you have access to the M.2 SSD slot to upgrade the storage. And speaking of the storage, my review unit comes with 1 terabyte of PCIe Gen 4 SSD storage, so you're looking at some very fast reads and writes, as you can see from these results. Now this says Wi-Fi 6E along with Bluetooth 5.2, and both working very well. Now the good news is it's slotted in, so you can change out the card later on down the road if you have to. That's a great option to have. All right, let's talk about the display, and what we're looking at here is a 16-inch display with a resolution of 2560 by 1600. And for those keeping score, that is a 16:10 aspect ratio, and it also has 120 Hz refresh rate, giving a more smooth scrolling experience, a more fluid experience overall. Now that QHD Plus resolution is great for watching movies, consuming media such as Netflix, Amazon, and YouTube has been great on this display. Now this is also a touch panel display, which was very responsive, and it was great for navigating through the OS. And it has some really deep blacks, good contrast. It also has good white points, and it also has a low Delta E score of 1.21, making this a color accurate display. Remember, anything below 2 is considered at color accurate. And it also has good coverage of the color gamut. We're looking at 100% sRGB, 80% Adobe RGB, 93% of the DCI P3 wide color gamut, and 80% NTSC. So if you are that content creator that this is geared towards, this is a good choice if you want to do color grading, Photoshop, Lightroom, and of course video editing. And it also has a low blue light filter, helping reduce eye strain. Now, MSI claims that this will get up to 400 nits in terms of brightness. I didn't get quite 400 nits in my measurements. I actually measured 388, which is pretty close to that claimed 400 nits. So this is going to be a pretty bright display for both indoor and even outdoor use, unless you're in direct sunlight, where you'll have some issues because this will show some glare and reflections in direct sunlight, as it is a glossy display, something to be aware of. And as I mentioned earlier, it has a 120 Hz refresh rate. That higher refresh rate will give you a more smooth and fluid experience, especially when it comes to gaming, scrolling through the OS, and the like. So this is the front-facing camera on the MSI Creator Z16, a 16-inch laptop with a 16:10 aspect ratio geared towards creators. I'm liking it so far. What you're looking at here is a 720p webcam. It's 30 frames per second. What do you think about the video quality? What do you think about the audio quality of the internal mics? Let me know. Now that camera is an infrared camera, meaning you can log in with face recognition with Windows Hello, but you also have a fingerprint scanner located below the keyboard on the right side. Setup was easy and worked well, registering my finger each and every time I used it. And for those wondering, yes, you can open the lid with one finger. The screen also folds all the way flat 180 degrees, as you see here, giving you a perfect viewing angle each and every time. I love that. Now, I really like this keyboard. As far as the key travel is concerned, it was pretty good. And as far as the tactile feedback, I had no issues. So far, so good. Comfortable to type on for extended periods of time. Good job in that regard. And MSI says this is the first to use a mini LED backlit keyboard, and I thought it worked well, getting pretty bright. It's actually 28% higher brightness according to MSI and 23% more efficient. I thought this backlit keyboard worked really well. You have a lot of control at your fingertips. You can change the pattern and the colors and so forth, and I thought it worked really great. And it also has a precision touchpad. It's a glass touchpad that I thought was very responsive. Two-finger scrolling worked well. All the gestures worked well. I have no complaints. I wish it was a little bit bigger, though, as far as the size is concerned, but overall, it worked as advertised. Okay, let's talk about performance, and my unit has the Core i7-11800H processor, a 45-watt CPU from Intel, 11th gen of course, with the RTX 3060 GPU. It has 6 gigabytes of GDDR6 video RAM. This is also a 65-watt variant of that 3060 GPU. And performance was really good, especially if you are a creator doing things like DaVinci Resolve, Premiere Pro, 4K video editing, all worked well. Now, as far as gaming is concerned, this is not a dedicated gaming laptop, but with the RTX 3060, 32 gigabytes of RAM that this does have, you definitely get some playable frame rates on certain settings, as you see here. And since the RTX 3060 supports DLSS, you'll definitely get a more enhanced gaming experience, that's for sure. And having 120 Hz refresh rate definitely helps out in that department as well. And the good news is I didn't notice any thermal throttling even when I ran the Prime 95 stress test to put it under heavy load. I noticed it with turbo boost to 4.592 gigahertz for about 10 seconds and reach a core temperature of about 95 degrees Celsius. Then I noticed it would maintain anywhere between 3.5 gigahertz and 3.7 gigahertz, maintaining good clock speeds and maintaining a 95 degrees Celsius in terms of the core temperature. But the takeaway is little to no thermal throttling detected, which is always great. And I thought the surface temperatures were actually pretty good, even under heavy load, never getting overly hot. That's been pretty good. Now, if you are going to run this under heavy load, the fans will kick in and you will have to contend with the fan noise as they do get pretty loud, especially in that performance mode. But the good news is you can control the fan noise in the user control settings that MSI gives you. So you have a lot of control on the thermal profiles that you want to choose. That's pretty good as well. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this has a 90 watt-hour battery, and I got 7 hours and 34 minutes on my continuous web surfing test over Wi-Fi at 150 nits with 120 Hz refresh rate selected. That means you're going to look at it anywhere between 5 to 6 hours, what I call real-world mixed usage. But of course, it depends on what you're doing, so your mileage may vary. Please keep that in mind. Now, if you choose a 60 Hertz in terms of the refresh rate, you can expect another 1 to 2 hours of additional battery life, something to be aware of. And the supplied 180 watt AC adapter supports fast charging this laptop in a little over 90 minutes. Pretty good. And this being a laptop geared towards creators, you want to have really good sound, and it doesn't disappoint. Actually, really nice stereo speakers here. 4 stereo speakers in total by Dyna Audio. That's high-res audio, and I thought it filled up the room rather nicely. Nice bass, good mids. Overall, very good audio. Good job in that regard. All right, let's bring it all home. What do I think about the MSI Creator Z16 here as we close out 2021? And I got to say, there's a lot to like here. MSI did a really great job. I love its massive 16-inch bright display running at 120 Hertz. It's also a 16:10 aspect ratio, all things that I do like. Speedy performance out of that Core i7 11800H. You could also get it, by the way, with the Core i9 11900H. I don't know if you need to do that because the Core i7 definitely is more than capable. I like the RTX 3060 GPU here. Nice CPU-GPU combination. Stylish and elegant design, that's for sure. Its upgradable RAM, SSD, and Wi-Fi card are definitely a plus, although not the easiest to get inside, as I mentioned, so that is something to be aware of. I like the mini LED backlit keyboard. I like the 4 stereo speakers producing really good sound, nice and rich, filling up a room rather nicely. And I like the good thermals. I didn't notice hardly any thermal throttling, even under heavy load, but you will notice the fans, especially in that performance mode, something to be aware of. Now, the negatives here, it's a little bit on the heavy side, especially for a 16-inch laptop, and we've been seeing lighter and more svelte laptops in this category, but this is definitely portable and does pack a lot of punch under the hood, so I'm not going to ding them too much on that. Reflective display, I'm not a big fan of, although it's not terrible. I would have liked to have seen a more matte display, especially for the creator out there who wants to see less glare, less reflections. And of course, there's no HDMI port, which would have been great, although you do get the 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports, and you also get a micro SD card reader. Would have been nice to have a full-size SD card reader, especially on a 16-inch laptop geared towards creators. But those are not deal breakers, ladies and gentlemen. I think MSI did an outstanding job on this laptop, and it's one to take a look at, especially as a MacBook alternative, because if you're on the Windows side and you are a creator, this is a nice offering from MSI, that's for sure. So what do you think about this bad boy, the MSI Creator Z16? I actually like the finish on this. That is the lunar gray, and it looks really good, although you will see some fingerprints. You probably can see it on this video right now. Really nice CNC unibody design, all metal here, really rock solid. Now, a little bit on the heavy side. We're looking at 5.07 pounds or 2.3 kilograms. Not the lightest 16-inch laptop out there. It does have a little bit of heft. Now, it's definitely worth it if you are that content creator, because this is packing a Core i7 11800H, RTX 3060 GPU, so you can do things like DaVinci Resolve, you can do video editing in Premiere Pro as well, Photoshop, Lightroom, anything that creators do, this can pretty much handle, and it does it really well. You could also game on this, as I showed you in the video, although you have to make sure you have the right settings on it, and that RTX 3060 certainly is compatible with DLSS, so you're going to get some really good playable frame rates, and of course, it depends on what you're doing with this laptop in terms of battery life. Again, a 90 watt-hour battery, I got 7 hours and 34 minutes. 5 to 6 hours, what I would call real-world mixed usage. Of course, your mileage may vary depending on what you're doing, so please keep that in mind. Now, that 16-inch display is absolutely gorgeous. Touchscreen, multi-touch, of course. I didn't see pen support on it. I tried using a number of pens. It didn't work, just so you know. 180-degree display, so you can fold it flat, which is really great, giving you a good viewing angle. I did notice a little screen wobble when I was using my finger to navigate through the OS using that touch screen, so you will notice a little bit of wobble. You might have noticed it in the video. And of course, it has that 16:10 aspect ratio. It also has that 120 hertz refresh rate. Certainly, it helps out in terms of enhancing the experience through the OS, through gaming, and stuff like that. Now, this has been a really great laptop, and as far as the price point is concerned, you're looking at a starting price I saw over at Amazon, $24.49, and that's with that 32 gigabytes of RAM, 1 terabyte of SSD storage, PCIe Gen 4, super fast reads and writes, as you saw. The same model as you saw in this video is what you could pick up. I'll put a lot of links in the description below of different places. Adorama, B&H, Microsoft, and of course, Amazon are all the different outlets where you can actually pick up this laptop. So I like what they're doing here. A nice alternative to the MacBook Pro, especially if you are that creator who wants to use Windows, DaVinci Resolve, Premiere Pro. This is a good choice, and I highly recommend it. So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, my website, amdtechreviews.com. So until next time, this is Andrew from AMD Tech. See ya.